Hey everyone, welcome back to your daily news recap. We've got some major updates from around the world today, from North Korea's involvement in the Ukraine conflict to surrogacy laws sparking debates in Italy. Let's get into it. North Korean soldiers sent to Russia. In a significant development, South Korea's National Intelligence Service, NIS, has confirmed that North Korea has sent 1,500 soldiers to Russia, marking its first active involvement in the Ukraine war. These troops, reportedly part of North Korea's special forces, were transported to Russia in early October and are currently being trained before their potential deployment to Ukraine's front lines. According to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, the soldiers may be part of a larger contingent, with North Korea planning to send up to 12,000 troops in total. Meanwhile, the Kremlin has denied the allegations, with spokesman Dmitry Peskov calling the claims a hoax. However, reports suggest that some North Korean soldiers have already deserted near Ukraine's front lines, fueling concerns over the scope of this involvement. Zelensky presents Victory Plan. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has introduced a highly anticipated Victory Plan aimed at solidifying Ukraine's position in its war with Russia. Key points of the plan include a push for NATO membership, lifting restrictions on long-range weaponry supplied by Western allies, and rejecting any negotiations over Ukraine's territorial integrity. Zelensky emphasized that Russia must lose the war and called out China, Iran, and North Korea as part of a coalition of criminals supporting Moscow. Ukraine's efforts to join NATO have been a focal point in its defense strategy, with Kyiv urging the alliance to extend a formal invitation while President Biden remains in office. Though NATO remains supportive of Ukraine's eventual membership, joining the alliance while still at war poses significant diplomatic challenges. Cuba's nationwide blackout. Cuba is in the midst of a severe power crisis after the country's largest power plant, Antonio Guterres, went offline, leading to a nationwide blackout. The collapse of the power grid has affected around 10 million people. In response, the government has closed schools and non-essential industries, while President Miguel Diaz-Canel assured citizens that efforts to restore power are ongoing. Prime Minister Manuel Marrero pointed to deteriorating infrastructure, fuel shortages, and the impact of Hurricane Milton as factors contributing to the grid's failure. Cuba's reliance on spot market fuel purchases, due to decreased shipments from Venezuela and Russia, has worsened the situation, leaving many in the dark without a clear timeline for when power will be restored. Hamas leader's death escalates conflict. The death of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar has escalated tensions in the already volatile Israel-Palestine conflict. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, referring to Iran and its allies, declared that Israel would continue fighting to dismantle the axis of evil. Despite international calls for a ceasefire, including from the U.S. and Egypt, no significant breakthroughs have been made. In response to Sinwar's death, Hamas has vowed to intensify its resistance, while Hezbollah announced it is entering a more aggressive phase of its confrontation with Israel. With both sides digging in and international efforts failing to yield results, the conflict shows no signs of de-escalating anytime soon. North Korea designates South Korea as hostile. Tensions on the Korean peninsula have ratcheted up as North Korea formally designated South Korea as a hostile state. The move comes after North Korea's recent constitutional change, which marks the South as a target for occupation rather than peaceful unification. This constitutional amendment follows the collapse of a 2018 agreement between the two nations that had aimed to reduce military activity along their shared border. With North Korea ramping up missile tests and accusing South Korea of provocative actions, the likelihood of diplomatic resolutions appears increasingly remote as both nations bolster their military postures. Italy's new surrogacy law. Italy's parliament has passed a new law making it illegal for couples to seek surrogacy services abroad, an extension of the country's domestic surrogacy ban that's been in place since 2004. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's conservative government championed the law, which imposes fines of up to €1 million and prison sentences of up to 2 years for violators. Critics argue that the legislation disproportionately affects same-sex couples, who are more likely to use surrogacy services abroad, while supporters defend it as a protection of traditional family values. And that's all for today's news recap. A lot is happening around the world, and we'll be keeping a close eye on these stories as they develop. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more daily updates, and let me know your thoughts on these topics in the comments below. See you next time!